Well, welcome everyone. This is Tracy Randall, and I'm excited as always about having the special guest in the spotlight. You may have seen Bill Schindler on his last interview. We had a lot of fun, didn't we, Bill? And shared a lot of great information. But let me introduce my friend Bill Schindler to you. He's the owner and founder of Hyperbaric PHP, and we'll talk real briefly about what PHP stands for. And welcome to In the Spotlight this morning, Bill.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me here. Before I like to share anything, I like to just acknowledge that it's been a very special weekend this last weekend. It was Memorial Day weekend.
Absolutely.
And I think we all still not to make Memorial Day just for one day, but to honor the people who've given us the freedom to be able to do interviews like this because they fought for our country, and we honor our military, all our military. We just happy Memorial Day weekend every day.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Bill. And I know you just landed from a trip and got off an airplane and sat down at your desk to do this interview with us. So we're so honored that you're taking time. I don't say this lightly. I know your schedule is extremely, extremely busy, and especially coming back from a trip. So we want to get right into this. The name of your company is Hyperbaric PHP. Tell us about, because what I want to share is Bill will be, and his hyperbaric chamber will be featured at our upcoming health summit here in Atlanta. And so tell us about hyperbaric bed therapy and how it works. And then we're going to do some incredible testimony. So stay tuned.
Well, it sounds like an easy thing to summarize what hyperbaric medicine is, and it kind of is. But there's a lot of history behind it. So I just want to give the listeners just a little bit of the basic foundation. So they have an idea, okay?
Okay.
The hyperbaric medicine's been around for many, many years. It's not a new concept, and a lot of us are actually familiar with it because we might have heard about it with scuba divers that have the bends, or maybe somebody had carbon monoxide poisoning or different conditions that we would use in the hospital. But the real problem with hyperbaric medicine over all these years is that you and I didn't have access to it.
Right.
The average person that might have a condition from cancers to Parkinson's and MS and autism and neurological disorders and numerous different conditions didn't have the opportunity to have access to hyperbaric medicine. And if they would have, it would have been so out of reach financially. Because in hospitals today, we charge anywhere between $600 and $2,500 an hour for hyperbaric medicine. And the real criminal part about it is that we only let certain types of people use it. So it's prejudice at its highest form, economically. Our biggest challenges in this world to help people is not so much where they come from, but where their finances are. So in the hospital, they only treat like 13 conditions. And if you have one of the conditions, you're welcome to come in. But if you don't, if you have cancer, neurological disorders, etc., they're not saying it doesn't work. We're just not going to, the insurance isn't going to pay for it. And that's what the challenge has been over these years. So about 20 years or so ago, a portable hyperbaric chamber was invented. And that literally has changed medical history, because for the first time in mankind, we are now having access, even into the comfort of our own home or in a small clinic that may be close to where you live, hyperbaric medicine. So what is it? Okay. Why can so many people use it? Well, it's amazing what a little oxygen can do. And if we always kind of go back to the beginning of life and say, mom has us, right? Because dad didn't have us. Mom had to push us out. And the first thing we do, we get slapped on the back and we take that first breath. Okay. So that should tell us all the importance of oxygen. It's the first thing we do, and it's the last thing we do. And life is what's in between. So we kind of take that for granted of how the body utilizes it. So hyperbaric oxygen therapy is a way for us to uptake the oxygen content in our body and have the body utilize it to its advantage, okay? So you're breathing about 21% oxygen right now in the room, the room that you're in right now. Inside the chamber, you can be breathing up to about 95%. We take the air that's in the room, it goes through a couple of compressors, and then it's cleaned out with a HEPA filter, so the air going in the chamber is as clean as it would be if I was doing surgery in a surgical room. But we also use an oxygen concentrator, or in the hospitals, even 100% oxygen that uptakes the oxygen level. But it's not about the oxygen, and that's where people get confused of hyperbaric medicine. It's not really about the oxygen, it's about the pressure. So
Okay.
let's go to school for a couple of minutes, all right?
All right, I love it.
All right, so, you know, it's kind of neat because physics doesn't change. If you jump up in the air, you're going to come down. That's called gravity. Well, in medicine, one of the key things in hyperbaric medicine, there's a law in physics called Henry's law. And Henry says this: if I take any gas and I put that gas under pressure, that gas will dissolve in liquid. So the gas is oxygen, the pressure is the chamber, and the liquid is your blood.
Okay.
So the gas of oxygen, we put you in a hyperbaric chamber. It's very comfortable. You're like in a tube. You can bring a DVD player in, bring your cell phone in, relax, enjoy, take a nap, read a book. It's amazing because you don't have to do anything. You don't have anybody, you know, sticking you with a needle, rubbing on you too hard, cracking your back, and all these different things. You just relax, okay? And what happens there, the pressure, we're going to lower you about 11 feet below sea level. And
Wow.
because of that pressure, that's where the miracle of hyperbaric medicine is. It takes that gas of oxygen and then enables the bodies to dissolve it into the plasma and the liquid parts of our body. So if you can imagine, the simplicity of it is that red blood cells carry oxygen. White blood cells fight bacteria, virus, infection, and disease.
Right.
So if we're going to go back and change somebody's biological history, the only way that we can do that is we've got to go back to the beginning where it all started at. And that's at the cellular level. The cells make up the tissues make up the organ, and the organ does a function. So hyperbaric medicine literally is the only medicine in the world that affects every single cell in the human body at one time.
Wow.
It has no escape from me, okay? No escape from us, because all those little crevices and crannies and places that we normally can't get to because of inflammation, we're able to put blood flow to and oxygen to. So if you can imagine, I have 3 circles in front of me. Those circles are red blood cells. The middle circle's got 5 little dots of oxygen in it. Life is good. It's a happy, happy cell, no problem. But the top circle, it only has 3 dots in it. That cell was compromised oxygen because I either have a disease, I have some kind of condition, or I've had some type of injury or insult. What happens in the chamber is we're able to saturate the red blood cell to its full capacity, where it can't hold any more oxygen. And right now, if I measured your oxygen levels right now, they're probably 96, 97%. So I'm able to increase that oxygen content by about 3%. Once the cells are full, they can't hold any more oxygen, and the oxygen has to go somewhere, and that's where the miracle happens. That's because the oxygen now will dissolve in the liquids of our body, which is the plasma and our fluids in the brain and our spinal column. So now I can bring blood flow to parts of the body I couldn't get to, especially our fingertips and our feet, because it's furthest from the heart. That's why a diabetic has his toes cut off, not because anything else but circulatory issues.
Exactly.
So, it's kind of like taking go to the beach and the water comes up to the beach and stops, okay, because the beach stops there. But we had a big tidal wave, it would come over the beach and flood that area. So that's what we're doing with the human body. And the common denominator of all diseases is inflammation.
Right.
So if we decrease inflammation and increase blood flow. So hyperbaric medicine, if you go into chamber for an hour as an anti-inflammatory, is like taking 40 Motrin without the side effects, okay?
Wow.
So if that's all the chamber did, that's like unbelievable.
Exactly.
Then we go to the white blood cells. Those are the good guys that are fighting bacteria and viruses and infections. So a couple key things. When oxygen goes into a cell, it forces toxins out. So oxygen in, toxins out. The more oxygen is available for the cell, the more the body's able to detoxify. This is why we use it in the hospitals for carbon monoxide poisoning.
Gotcha.
So this is a big deal because if your listeners are taking supplements, those supplements now are immediately dispersed into the bloodstream. If they're taking pharmaceutical drugs, we'll be able to get more benefit from the pharmaceutical drugs, so we can reduce medications, if not completely eliminate them, all right? Second of all, our energy, is really created by oxygen. When the oxygen goes into a cell, the middle of the cell, the engine is called the mitochondria. That engine produces ATP, which is our energy. More oxygen, more engine, more ATP. The last part about our white blood cells is all your bacteria and viruses cannot survive in oxygen. So, for example, cancer. Back in the 1930s, Otto Warburg was a biochemist from Germany, and he had proven that cancer cannot survive in an oxygenated environment. What's toxic to cancer is oxygen, and that we need to avoid environmental toxins, take sugar away, and put the body in an alkaline state.
Right.
The last part is the brain and the spinal column. Because the fluid that surrounds our brain, the chamber has found a new tool to get to the brain, because that fluid is the transportation now, because any gas under pressure will dissolve in liquid. So the gas dissolves into the liquid, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and delivers oxygen and blood flow to parts of the brain that we can't get there. So my stroke patients and Parkinson's and dementia, Alzheimer's, autism, etc., huge benefits. It's almost insane that we would not be using hyperbarics every day in our hospitals for all our stroke patients.
Right.
If a stroke is caused from a lack of oxygen to the brain, what happens if I get oxygen to the brain? It's not rocket science, okay?
Right.
You know, if your grass is green and brown on the other side of the yard, and the other side of the yard don't get no water, then you may as well, get some water to it, okay? So, in summary, hyperbaric medicine is a way for us to let the body do its healing that it was meant to be. We are able to saturate the red blood cells, cross the blood-brain barrier, affect the white blood cells. Probably the only thing that's probably better than hyperbaric medicine is stem cells. And interesting, hyperbaric medicine stimulates stem cell activity.
Wow.
So it's a tool for us. The biggest thing is who uses the chambers? What kind of person or what kind of family would want to have access to hyperbaric medicine? Well, just about anybody and everybody. There's nobody that could not benefit from it. Our patients range from people who have migraine headaches and cluster headaches. They've got asthma and allergies. They've got arthritis, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia. They've got skin disorders. None of these are life-threatening, but if we start adding them all up, our quality of life is compromised. The second group is much more serious: Parkinson's, dementia, stroke, autism, MS. The number one treatment for multiple sclerosis all throughout Europe is hyperbaric medicine. All your cancers, AIDS, hepatitis, pre and post surgery is huge. And the women love it, the anti-aging aspects of it.
Nice.
Right? And the last group is the athletes who use it for performance enhancement, endurance, energy, and stamina, and to recover from their workouts and recover from their injuries.
Wow. You have said a mouthful today, Bill. And
I know.
as always, I could listen to you forever. Just do a sound check. I'm getting an echo, but can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you fine.
Okay, great. I'll try to ignore the double talk that's going on here then in my head. But it is fascinating. And, we could talk for hours about why it hasn't been available to people and your passion for what you do. So one of the questions that we had in the last interview was, what if there's not a hyperbaric chamber near me? What if there's not a clinic near me? And one of the things that that you talked about is having the in-home use of the hyperbaric chamber, and you're a resource for that, correct?
Yeah, when I first started hyperbaric, I started the first clinic about 20 years ago, or a little over 18 years ago, and my goal was, if you know something that's good to help people, then get it to the people.
Right.
And the problem at the very beginning was that we could only put it in clinics. It had to be under doctor supervision, etc.
Right.
But through a lot of fight and a lot of what we have to do, we got legislation and we got the FDA to approve hyperbaric medicine for in-home use, which was unbelievable, because when dad has a stroke or mom's got cancer, so we needed really long-term treatments. And it was maybe, even if there was a clinic close to their home, try to get someplace on a daily basis. So we're able, with the prescription, we're able to get hyperbaric medicine to be able to be placed in families' homes. So now we have chambers that families can actually purchase. Well, then there's families that can't afford to purchase them, and we understand that. So that's when we started to say, well, what about renting chambers? You know, is there a way that we could rent chambers to families? So again, and it actually became less expensive for families to rent a chamber and have it in the comfort of their home. And in many cases, a lot of the families saw such great, benefits and stuff, they wanted to try to keep the chamber there. So, you know, we try to have clinics, you know, across the country. There's literally 18,000 chambers across the country. They're either in people's homes, they're in small clinics and what have you. If there's not, you know, a chamber that's in a clinic close to where you're at, you can still have access to it in the comfort of your own home.
I love that.
Get a hold of that doctor and say, listen, doc, why don't you have a hyperbaric chamber? Okay.
Yeah.
So we have to get it to the people who really need it and need to have access to it.
Well, we're in a crisis today, Bill, as we all know. Cancer is now the #1 killer of our children. Autism is on the rise, stroke, heart attack, all of these things. Alzheimer's, dementia is the new cancer. I mean, it's unreal. So I think you're right. I think, you know, that's why we're doing these interviews to educate people on ways to stay healthy as a family. And, you know, you shared tons of reasons why people need these chambers, but you know, the preventative, if there's any healthy people out there, we need to be utilizing this incredible technology to continue to prevent, because as our world becomes more and more toxic, it truly is more and more difficult to stay healthy.
You know, that's a great point there. And a lot of times people, we live in a knee-jerk reaction. You know, if we have a toothache, until it gets to the point where it's unbearable, then we go see the dentist. So if we can do if I can look at you and say, you know, I can see in your heart there's a blockage there. And if you trusted me and said, well, this guy, he just has a special, you know, ability to do that, you'd be running to your doctor and find out, yes, there's a blockage. But
Right.
because we can't see things, you know, clearly, we wait till things are too late or there's more compromise. So It is a lot of the preventative stuff. It is a lot about what can I do to try to decrease the opportunity for diseases and conditions. And with hyperbaric medicine, what we found with the families is a lot of times it starts out with one family member. They might have had cancer, or a child may have cerebral palsy or what have you, but now the whole family's using the chamber. Right. And so mom's saying, God, I'm sleeping really good at night. And dad's lower back's not bothering him because the chamber's not prejudiced. It doesn't know who's inside that chamber. It doesn't know if it's a sick person, a healthy person. It doesn't. And once we turn 40, unfortunately, I hate to say this, Tracy, but the aging process does start to accelerate. Yeah. And our body doesn't recover like it did when we were young. So it really does become a wellness center for the whole family.
Absolutely. And, you know, we women spend thousands and thousands of dollars, truly, Bill, we do, if you only knew, to look younger. And, you know, if we can do something internally that will keep us from aging externally, wow, that's just a bonus, as you mentioned earlier.
It's interesting you say that because in Japan, they don't even care about the medical reasoning for hyperbaric medicine. They use it for the anti-aging benefits of hyperbaric medicine. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, this is incredible. So what I want you to do is let the people here know how to connect with you so that if they're interested in renting, buying, or just, I know if you live in the Atlanta area or are willing to travel to the Atlanta area, you absolutely will do free consultations for people, let them use your beds and try them out. Tell us all about that.
You know, that's a good point there. You know, my heart is really what this is all about. You know, there's no amount of money that somebody could give me when I see one of my children say their first words, or a Parkinson patient stops shaking, or a stroke patient walks out of a wheelchair. For example, Miss Pam, who was in a coma for 3 months, couldn't walk and couldn't talk, was in a wheelchair, and she would just drool and just stare at you. You know, today, you know, she's hanging out at the American Legions, drinking beer with the ex-Coast Guard people, and her life's completely back. My cancer patients that have lived and not died. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. We've treated out of our own clinic over 35,000 families. So money is not the issue for us. At our clinic here, I don't want anybody to feel that money is stopping them from getting access to it. So about 70 to 75% of all the families in our clinic don't pay anything. And I'm proud to say that. I know that's not a good business model for a lot of people, but you know what? What money could you give me in exchange for that mother telling me what's going on?
Right.
So when you come to our clinic here, we give everybody a free treatment. It doesn't cost them anything. And I don't charge for consults or so. I think that's kind of ridiculous. People are sick and they need help and they need to be educated. And that's why, I named the clinic PHP at the end of Hyperbaric, for people helping people, because that's what it's about. We all should be helping each other. You never know, the person you're talking to right now may not even need anything about hyperbarics, but 6 months from now, they find a family member sick. Absolutely. So we have availability for rentals. We have availability for families to purchase chambers. I have people coming in from all over the country that just come to the clinic, and we help them. There's not going to be anybody that's going to be denied.
I love that. And I think every business really, that are in this type of business especially, would love to be able to give back and give those free services. And kudos to you that you've been able to accomplish that and actually do that and still have a viable business. That's awesome, Bill.
Well, Miss Tracy, the reason for that is it's the people. People help people. If I have somebody who rents a chamber from us, those funds is what helps us with our clinic. If somebody purchases a chamber from us, those monies go into the clinic. So even when people are, getting chambers from out of state and across the country, they're actually helping other people who may not have access to it. And that's what it should be about. That's why I don't worry about those things. It's my honor and it's my blessing to serve the families that we serve in our clinic. It truly is.
Well, tell us how to get a hold of you. Your website or how to find out more about it.
Through Miss Tracy, but our website is Hyperbaric, HYPERBARIC, and the letters PHP, Hyperbaric PHP. Go onto the website. There's a lot of great information there. Somebody can always get a hold of me. My personal cell phone number is 678-794-5863. Call the clinic, call myself up, come down and see us, or just come down and get a free visit. You don't have to be sick. You don't have to have anything. Just come down and see what we do. There's a lot of neat stuff in the clinic. I get to deal with a lot of the people in the entertainment industry and the sports world, and the dads like coming down here to just look at the walls. So we got to get you down here.
If someone has a son or a daughter that's interested in sports, it's like a little mini museum there. And, you make the kids feel so comfortable, Bill. You're like, if I can say this, a big teddy bear. You're just so lovable. The kids love you. You've got all the interesting memorabilia there. And I don't think there's any child that would be afraid. And, and we talked about this last time, and we do need to be closing out. There's so much more I want to talk to you about. But, even if you're a mom and you're thinking, well, my child wouldn't get into a hyperbaric chamber alone, they can get in with their moms. And in fact, you actually.
Absolutely. In fact, with our kids and stuff, the moms all go in. I will share this with you. We've treated over 35,000 families at our clinic. I have never, ever not been able to get somebody in the chamber. So it's very relaxing, and it's like anything else. And we just have to encourage people and stuff there. We do have to clear our ears like you're doing in the airplane, but there's lots of room in the chamber. You can get out instantly. The FDA, again, would have never approved it for in-home use if there was any safety issues or anything like that there. So it's very comfortable. You go in with the children, or dad may have a stroke. Mom goes in with dad. Lots of room. Yeah.
Well, it's so exciting. And again, Bill is going to be there at the 2018 Your Battle Plan for Better Health Summit, featuring Bob Wright, our American Anti-Cancer Institute founder. And Bill is going to be featured there. He'll be bringing a bed there. So if you can't get to his clinic, but you're coming to the Health Summit, that's going to be an awesome opportunity to learn more and to actually see and feel and touch and maybe experience the chamber a little bit. And we appreciate you so much, Bill, for doing that. That's going to be a huge impact on the Atlanta area, but we do have people coming from across the country. So thank you for that.
Yeah, wonderful. So I just want to thank you very much there. In closing, I think that all of us sometimes just need to know that there are people out there that are willing to help. You have to take your steps too, realizing that so often we go through a traditional medical treatment and we're willing to take the prescription drugs and everything else for 90 days, a year, every day. people, there are things out there that we can do for ourselves. And it's also important for us to, to have faith, because God is the greatest doctor of all doctors. That's why we practice medicine. God is the medicine. So,
you're right. You're right. It's all incredible. All of that is so important. Having a good mindset, that faith that you talked about, and the love for other people. And you have it, Bill. You know that as soon as we can, we're going to be bringing the whole family down to the clinic. And I think I'm very intrigued about having something in home for my mom during this season. And I'll hop in there with her, and we'll just get younger and healthier and think more clearly together.
Absolutely. All right. Well, many blessings to you all. And again, thank you for the opportunity to share information with your listeners.
Thank you so much, Bill. This has been thank you, Randall, with Atlanta Business Spotlight. And today in the Spotlight, Bill Schindler of Hyperbaric PHP. Bye, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.